We're going to recap the Community Access Program. It's a Fannie Mae program that we talked about as part of our meeting. It was one of the products I talked about. We get a lot of inquiries about it, a lot of people asking. The biggest thing about it is their current address. They have to live in a certain area, and the only way we know that is if we can get there. Usually when we get an application, we're able to determine whether or not they're in it, and there's a couple different places we have to go to check on it, and then we run it through electronically with Fannie Mae. But it's a great program because there's no income limits, and the income limits, right now in most metropolitan Atlanta area, if we're trying to be below 80% of the average median income, and that number's about 82,000. So it's pretty high actually, but for qualifying for a home these days, you kind of need to make pretty good money to be able to qualify, because you can't find cheap homes anymore, So this one doesn't have the income limits, and then you of course have grant money that can be used towards a down payment or closing costs up to $7,000. And then there's some other perks in there as well. If possible, they may get another $500 towards an appraisal and could get some money towards, as a lender, I think we can buy them a homeowner's warranty. And there's some guidelines about that. But so it could, if everything aligns perfectly, it is a pretty great deal. But it does start out with them needing to be in a certain geographical area. And I have a map. It's not an exact map, but it kind of has some shading of the Atlanta market or the metropolitan Atlanta area of where some of those places are. And so I can get one of those out to you guys today. I can send you a copy of it, and so you can look at it. But and just to walk through it real quick again, at least one of the borrowers needs to be a first-time home buyer. It can be anywhere, obviously in the U.S., but we're talking about Georgia. It's a fixed-rate mortgage. They do allow us to do the buy-down programs that you may have heard of. I don't see that very often on these, but it's there. It'd be a one-unit property, and then it would be a 3% down loan. But again, the 3% in theory would be coming from the grant that you would get if you live in that specific area. And then you can get duplexes and up to quads. Duplex, triplex, quads are all eligible. And then of course the max Fannie Mae loan limit, which is $766,200, I think, that would apply as well. But you're not going to probably find someone buying a house that high, because it'd be very unlikely that they would be buying a house and having a loan that high. So most of these loans are going to be in that 300 price point, up to 350. That's what I've been seeing. Because that's the type of buyer that you have for these. Anybody have any questions about, I know we've covered it a couple of times, but, and if they don't qualify for this, or if they happen to not live in that area, well then really this is kind of a version of like the Home Ready program you may have heard of, which is the 3% down, first-time home buyer product. Freddie Mac has Home Possible. That 3% can come from a gift. And one place we find, in my opinion, to be one of the best places to get the money is if someone's been working somewhere that's like a reputable, bigger company where 401k is available. A lot of times if people have been participating in their 401k, they can actually borrow against their 401k, and they're borrowing against their own money. So we don't have to count that payment. And they're paying themselves back sometimes with a little bit of interest. But it's, in my opinion, one of the best places to get your down payment. It's just that with, again, first-time home buyers, they may not have been working long enough to have put too much away. But you'd be surprised. Some people are working for good companies where they match, and they've accumulated some decent 401k money. And any bit can help. So they could go borrow $3,000 from that or $4,000 from that, and maybe get a gift from their folks and come up with a down payment. So any questions on the access?
Not on the access part, but I have a question about the appraisal. So if she's going for the loan for some homeowner, and then the house isn't appraised, or the deal doesn't close, are they billed for, I guess, obviously the appraisal?
Yeah, well, so what we do, we always disclose everything because in my world, if we don't disclose it, we're not allowed to charge it. So, and that's true for anybody that's doing the job correctly, is that sometimes, so I'll get appraisal waivers sometimes, probably not on a program like this because you're not putting down enough money, but a lot of times I'll get appraisal waivers. I still disclose an appraisal just in case something changes and I don't get that appraisal waiver. If I didn't disclose it, then I can't charge it. So we would disclose it. And we may not, we've got the flexibility that we could not collect it up front if we needed to, but if we did, usually we put it on a credit card for somebody and we could always credit it back to their credit card. But if we had to, because the person was tight on money, we've had that come up where, we don't want to add to their credit card debt because they're just barely getting qualified, so we might say we'll make this due at closing because either the grant's going to pay for it or a seller may be paying some closing costs, because you still have the seller can pay closing costs here too. So the person could really come to the table with no money almost in this scenario, with if they got the grant and they got seller paid closing cost, Yeah.
So you're saying if it does not appraise, they'll get their money back?
No. That's still in play. I'm saying if they don't close because there was a low appraisal, the only way that our appraisal money could come back would be as if it closes. So if it doesn't close, so that I would venture to say our regular protocol would be is that we're going to collect the appraisal and everything's going to come back at closing as a credit. And specific to the appraisal, what we normally do in that is if it is being paid, is we would credit it back to their credit card for them. But we could just give it to them at closing as a credit, and then that'll mean that they bring less money to the table, which means they'll have the money to pay their credit card bill. But they got the money. In other words, they didn't get charged. They got a credit. So yeah. But yeah, unfortunately, the appraisal has to be done, and we're not in a position to pay for the appraisal even if the deal won't work. So yeah, and hopefully that on the front end, and that can be negotiated, or hopefully you guys let us know on the front end, hey, this price point is kind of a push. I've looked at the comps and it's going to be a push. We would always love to know that in advance, so we can if there's anything we can do. A lot of times I'll send notes to the appraiser and give him bullet points, like things that have been done to the property, improvements or something, to help make sure that or if you got a recent sale in the area that you want to make sure it gets used because maybe it just happened, we'll send those notes when we put in the order to make sure that we have our best shot at getting the value. I haven't been having too much value problems lately. Usually it's been pretty good. We're in that sweet spot where houses are selling for more, so they're making good comps, So, any other questions about the Fannie Mae Access?
This is the program where the co-borrower has to be an occupant.
Well, most of them are. If you have a you're talking about a non-occupying co-borrower.
Yes.
Yeah. This one, it says at least one. I'd have to double check on that, to be honest with you. No, you can do it because it says the non-occupant co-borrower is permitted. So that means that you could, if mom or dad wanted to co-sign, they could do that. Because that's what this program is really designed for. It is designed for that person who's maybe always lived at home rent-free and now they're buying their first house. And if mom or dad have to help, then you can do it. Because some of them don't allow, it just depends, but some of them don't allow for a non-occupying co-borrower. But this one does. So, yeah. But that's pretty much it.
Is this only, are other banks offering this also?
Yeah, it's a Fannie Mae program. Mm-hmm. I will say this, you'll find that, so Fairway, our parent company, a lot of these credits and stuff come from us, the lender, and we don't get reimbursed until we deliver the loan to Fannie. And you got to deliver a good loan to Fannie, and they have a window to look at it and make sure there's no problems with it, and they don't kick it back to us. So you might not find some of the smaller banks or smaller lenders because there's a lot of post-closing that needs to happen and happen very, dot the I's, cross the T, because they won't get their money back. They won't get credited back for some of these credits we give. So for that reason, you're probably going to find it more prevalent with bigger lenders that have been around for a while and that do a good job. We're pretty good about the post-closing side. Our loans get delivered. I've seen them as quick as within 2 weeks of closing, it's already been delivered to the servicer, and Fannie Mae's accepted it. So our post-closing department's pretty thorough. So, but yeah. So any other questions for you guys? No? Anything else we can do to help you guys, with your business without just giving here's a number, somebody that needs to buy a house? I mean, I wish I had them, but yeah, I mean, are y'all finding it slow right now? Yeah.
I think, Matt, what would be helpful is to, like, a lot of the explanations with like a flyer, maybe our picture and your picture on it.
Yeah, co-branded.
Cool.
Yeah, we could do that. We could do a co-branded. This flyer, I pulled it from our flyer software or whatever, and I think there is a way to co-brand it, so I'll go back in and look at it. And then for most of you guys, you have the app, and I've already uploaded your photos and all your information, so I should have what I need to just do it if you want one. So if y'all would like one, I can just make a list of who wants one and take care of that for you.
Is the app Fairway or North Point?
It's the Fairway app, it's the one that, yeah. So, but I'm saying I have to go in on my end to like edit and put in your bio and your picture and your stuff. And I don't remember on yours because when we first spoke, I don't know if you had all your stuff yet, but I may have done it, but I'll check. But then what I'm saying is I can go pull some of that same information, the picture and your logo for Century 21 and whatever information you're using right now, which is, the Century 21 email address and stuff, I can put that into the flyer, assuming that's what you would want.
Yeah, that's just helpful for people that's not, computer literate. They want to see paper.
Yeah, right. And if nothing else, it's a talking point for you. I mean, we don't want you guys to try to sell the products. We want to that's why we always want to pre-underwrite, because this product could work for somebody, but this one specifically, they have to live in the certain area right now, not where they're buying, but where they're living. And if they don't, well, then this isn't even an option for them. But it's a very similar product to the Home Ready and the Home Possible. So it just kind of gets them thinking about, what they can do and what's possible. So, yeah. Thank you guys for your time.